Hello friends, this is a brief Dart tutorial. Here I will discuss the difference between Dart and Java. As this is a brief Dart tutorial, I am expecting everyone to have a bare minimum knowledge of another programming language. Okay, now let's start and create a new project. I'm going to create a Dart console application. Let me choose a directory. I'm going to choose Dart tutorial, and let's see what we have here. Okay, we get a Dart console application. Inside that we get a bin folder and a lib folder. In the bin folder we get a main function. As we all know, Dart kind of work like a scripting language, and the starting point of the language is the main function. In the main function we are taking list of string as an argument, which we can pass using our terminal while running the program. Okay, now let's run this program and see what is our output. We can run it by choosing the run tab and selecting run. Here in the console we can see we are getting output hello world 42. Now what is this 42? We are getting this from this calculate function. Here we can see we are returning an integer which is 6 into 7 and which is 42. Now we can delete all this. Let's delete them one by one. I'm also not going to use this test Dart file, as we are not going to write any test series. Now let me create another file. Let's name it table of content. This is the table of content which will be covered in this series. You can go through them. I will cover them in a sequential way and tag some link in the description so that you can go to a specific section easily. In this section, let's talk about Dart variable. In Dart, all the variables are objects, and as Dart have awesome support for functional programming, we can pass Dart function as Dart variable. Let's go through them one by one. We have number, integer and double, where integer and double both are extending number. We can see them by going inside. Then we have string and boolean, similar to Java. Then we have function, which is a type which takes an anonymous function, in this case a lambda. It can have any parameter and any return type. Like here, if I add another parameter, it's not giving me any error. Then we have type def for defining a specific function type. We can define a specific function like this, where the function takes two integer parameter and return a string. Then we can use the type def for making a type. Like here we have defined the type, and here we are using the type and assigning it to the function which have two integer as parameter and return a string. If we return a integer here, it will give us 0. See, it is saying the return type int isn't a string as required by the closure context. This is all about Dart variables. In this section, let's talk about string interpolation and the var keyword in Dart. In Dart, we can use the var keyword to implicitly declare any variable. Like here, the name is a string, the width and height is integer. We can also declare boolean using the var keyword, like so. For string interpolation, we have single quote, double quote and triple quote. Like here, we can use triple quote to declare a paragraph, and we can use the $sign to interpolate a variable inside a string. We can use the $sign and the curly braces to express any expression which need to evaluate it inside the string. Now, if we run this main method, we can get the following output. In this section, we will talk about Dart private and public variable. Actually, Dart don't have any private or public keyword. Rather, we use the underscore to define the private variable inside a class. Let's create a class. Here we have created one class named animal, which have two private variables, name and age, a constructor which is initiating the variables, and a function which is printing the name and age. Now let's create one instance of the variable. In our case, animal1 is the instance variable. We are setting the underscore name and printing the name and age. If underscore name is a private variable, then we shouldn't be able to set it using this syntax. But let's run the program and see the output. Here we can see the name have been changed to Lala. So this isn't a private variable at all. But this whole thing change if we shift this class inside its own Dart file. Let's do it and see it in action. Now we can see the compiler is saying that we cannot use the underscore name to set the name because it's a private variable. To access the underscore name, we need public setter and getter in the animal class. Let's create public setter and getter for the name variable. Now we can access this name using the public setter. If we run the program now, we'll get the same output. This is all about Dart private and public variables. In this video, we will talk about Dart final and const keyword. Let's get with the point of concern. We will talk about the definition, inside and outside class example, which are local variable and instance variable example for final and const keyword, and constant constructor example. Now, the definition of final is single assignment. A final variable must have an initializer. Const means that object's entire deep state can be determined entirely at compile time, and the object will be frozen and completely immutable. Here immutable means unchanged. Const are canonicalized. Now what is canonicalized meaning? Canonicalized means in a program, if we use the same constant again and again, then no new memory will be allocated to the constant. Rather, the same memory will be used again and again. Now let's see a local variable example for final and constant keyword. Here we can see we can define the final type with and without the variable type. Similarly, we can also define constant with or without the variable type. Now let's see an example of instance variable for final and constant keyword. Let's define a class. Let's define some final properties for the laptop. Let's define string brand, integer RAM and integer memory. Here we can see we have error which is saying us that final variable must be initialized. So if you initialize them in our primary constructor, then the error are gone. Here we can also come to the point that in a Dart class, the variable which are defined final have to be initialized first, then the constructor will do the other job. Without initializing the final variable, the constructor won't run any statement. Now if we define a constant here, let's see what happens. We have defined a constant integer fan speed, but the constant fan speed must be initialized. So let's initialize it with something. Now we have initialized it, but now it's saying us that only a static speed can be declared as constant. So we need to make it static. So we can see that any constant field which is defined inside a class or any instant constant variable have to be static. Now let's see if we can make our laptop constructor constant or not. Here we can see we can easily make our laptop constructor constant, as all the variable it is taking is constant, like this. But if we remove the constant keyword from our constructor, it is showing us an error. That constant variable must be initialized with a constant value. Now our constructor isn't constant, so it is also not giving us a constant laptop instance. As a result, it is showing the error. But if we make this final, we have no error, because finals don't need its instance to be constant. Rather, it's a single assignment. We can not assign the laptop 1 another time, but we can assign any mutable value in the final laptop one for the first time. This is it for Dart constant and final keyword. Let's talk about Dart labeled loop in this section. Let's consider a list. Here we have a list of names. We can iterate through this list using three different for loop. First, we can use the in keyword to iterate through the list. We can use the for each loop, or we can use our traditional for loop as well. Now let's label each of the loop with a name. Let's label the first loop with loop 1, as I am very bad with naming. The second loop with loop 2. Third loop with loop 3. Now why we need to label them with a name? If we use the break keyword, we can break out of a loop. So to break out of a specific loop, we can use this name. Let's see an example to get this thing transparent. Here we have loop 1 and loop 2. Loop 1 is iterating through the list of name and loop 2 is iterating from 0 to 3. Now we have a if statement which is checking if iterator is equal to 1 or not. If it is 1, then it's breaking out of the loop 2, and then no print statement will be printed. Let's see the output to figure out what these two loops are doing. As we have 3 names in list of name, so it is running 3 times, and each time the second loop is running for only 0. As iterator is becoming 1, it is breaking out of the loop. Now if we want to break out of loop 1, then there is no way, but we can use the name loop to break out of loop 1. Just adding the name here will break out of the loop 1 rather breaking out of the loop 2. Let's run and see the output. Here we can see we have output name x and iterator 0. As we are breaking out of loop 1, so we are not printing name y and name z. This is it for label loop. In this section, let's talk about Dart fat arrow function. But before doing that, let's explore a normal function in Dart. Here we have a normal function which is taking an integer and printing the value. We can easily call this function by passing an integer. Now let's copy this normal function and see if we can modify this to a fat arrow function or not. Let's rename it first. Now let's remove these curly braces and use a fat arrow inside the function body and the function params. This is already modified into a fat arrow function. Now we can call this function as well as we call our normal function. In Dart, everything is object including function, so we can easily store function inside variables like this. We can even modify this function into a fat arrow function as well. Let's see how we can do that. Let's rename the function first. Then we can remove the curly braces and use a fat arrow inside the function parameter and body. It's been modified into a fat arrow function. We can also call this function the way we have called our normal functions. Now let's run this program and see our output. This is it for Dart fat arrow function. In this section, let's talk about Dart function parameters. In Dart, we have named parameter, unnamed parameter, and positional parameter. Again, they can be required, optional, and with default value as well. Let's look at them with example. Here I have made a function for finding the volume of a rectangle, which is taking integer width, integer height, and integer length and returning the volume. It is an example for the unnamed required parameter. Let's call the function volume. Let's pass 3, 4, and 5 as width, height, and length. Now let's change the length to optional named parameter. We can surround the length with curly braces to make it optional named parameter. Now it has become optional named parameter, so we cannot pass 5 here. Rather, we can pass it by saying the name of it. Now let's look at named required parameter. We can give @required before the length to make it a required parameter. For using required, we need the meta package. Now the length is a required parameter. If we remove it, then our volume function is saying the parameter length is required. Now let's make it default value named parameter. Now if we use a default value, then it cannot be required anymore. So we need to remove @required. While passing a default value, if we want to override the default value, we can pass a new value from the called function. Now let's look at positional optional parameter. We can change the curly braces with a third bracket to make it optional positional parameter. Now length is an optional positional parameter. We can pass 5 or we can just remove it. But in this case, if it's an optional parameter, then we cannot use it inside the return because here length will be null. Now let's look at positional default value parameter. We can pass a default value here. Now we can use it. So we have covered all of our point of concern. This is it for Dart method parameters. In this section, let's talk about error handling and try-catch finally block. But before that, I really want to thank you if you are still watching this series. This is my first tutorial, so I am a little bit nervous, but I am hoping the content quality will improve gradually. Now let's start. Here we have our try-catch finally block. It will try to run the try block, and if an error occurs, then the error will be found in the catch block and the finally block will eventually run. Now let's try to produce an integer division by 0 exception. Here we are dividing 12 by 0. So we will get an integer division by 0 exception. Let's run the program and see the output. Here we are getting the exception thrown is integer division by 0 exception, and then the finally block is running. Now let's try no such method error. Here we are calling null string.length. The string isn't initialized, so the length is not available right now. So if we run this program now, we will get no such method error. We can catch a specific error using the on keyword. Like here, we can use on no such method error catch error, and then in this block we can print our exception like this. Now if we run this program, our no such method error block will be running rather than the catch block, because we are producing a no such method error. Now let's see if we can handle custom errors. For custom errors, we need to make custom error before catching them. Let's create a custom error. Here we have created a class user not found exception, which is implementing exception. Now we can throw this exception and then catch it in the catch block. Let's try this. Here we are throwing user not found exception. Right now the catch block will catch this error and print the error statement. Let's run this and see our output. The exception thrown is an instance of user not found exception. So this block is running and then finally this block is running. We can catch it using the on keyword as well. Here in the on block we can print our own customized error message. Like we can say user is not found. Now if we run this program, this on user not found block will be run and we will get user not found in our console. This is it for try catch finally block. This section is about Dart constructor. Let's create a class. Here we have human class. Let's create some instance variable. We have string gender, string name and integer age. We can define this instance variable as final as well. Let's define them final. Here Dart is complaining about that the final variable must be initialized. Let's create a constructor to initialize the final variables. Now let's see about constant static variables. In Dart we can define constant variable inside class, like constant pi is equal to 3.14. But here our compiler is saying only static field can be declared as const. So we need to make it a static constant. Now let's see constant constructor. Here our constructor is taking gender, name and age. All of them are final. So we can define our constructor as a constant constructor. Now let's see constructor body. A constant constructor cannot have a constructor body. But if it is not a constant constructor, then we can have a constructor body. Here we can print our human name, age and gender like so. Now let's talk about supercall for constructor. Let's consider every human being to be a living being. So we need to extend human with living being. Now in our living being class, let's create a constructor. But before that, we can see age is a thing which should be in living being because every living being should have an age. So let's cut it and paste it in living being. Now let's create a constructor for our living being. Here we have made a constructor for our living being. Now our human constructor is complaining that this age is not present there. Now we need to pass this age in our superclass. To pass that, we need to call superclass like this, where we can pass our age, and we can take age in our human class constructor like this. Now let's talk about name constructor. In our human class, let's create a name constructor with the same name and age parameters. Let's name it second. Now it's complaining us and saying that the superclass doesn't have a zero argument constructor. So we need to pass the age in our supercall. To pass the age, we need the age in our name constructor. Like so, we can create a name constructor. Now let's talk about private and public variable in Dart class. But before doing so, let's refactor our human class name, because in Dart class name should start with capital letter. So let's refactor with human. Similarly, let's refactor living being with capital L. Now let's create an instance variable profession, which is a public variable. We can easily access this by creating an instance of human class inside our main function. Here human1 is our instance of human class. By using human1 dot profession, we can easily set our profession to engineering. Now if we use underscore in front of profession, then it becomes a private variable. And here we can see Dart compiler is showing us an error that we cannot access profession. But if we create some public getter and setter for our private profession instance variable, then we can again access them. Here I have created a setter for our private underscore profession and a getter for our profession. Now here the error is gone and we can again access human1.profession and set it to engineering. Similarly, we can get it as well using the same syntax, like we can print the profession of human1.name is human1.profession. Now if we run this, we get The profession of coding is engineering. This is it for Dart class constructors. In this video, we will talk about variable override in Dart. Here we have three classes: season, summer season and winter season. In our season class, we have some instance variable, and in our constructor we are just printing them. And we also have a get Celsius from Fahrenheit function, which is taking Fahrenheit and returning us the Celsius. Our summer season is extending our season class, which have the same instance variable, but all of them are declared final here. And in our summer season constructor, we are just printing summer season constructor is called. All of this setup is to prove that in Dart class, all final variables are first initialized, then any constructor statement are called. We can prove that by creating an instance of summer season. Let's see that in action. Here in our main function, we have created an instance of summer season, which is taking 30 in the constructor, and this is the temperature, which is first initializing. Then the other final variable will be initialized, and then our superclass season will be called, and this print statement will be called. Then our summer season print statement inside the constructor will be called. Let's run and prove this. Here we can see that our output is saying temperature, rainfall, average humidity and fruit list, which is our super constructor print statement, and then our summer season print statement is printed. Now let's talk about Dart interface. In Dart we don't have the interface keyword, rather we use abstract class as interface. Here I have declared an abstract class time duration. In our summer season class we can implement time duration, and then we need to override get duration function. This is Dart interface in action. In this section, we will talk about Dart lambda and higher order function. Lambda is a function without a name. It is also known as anonymous function. Higher order function is a function that takes another function as a parameter or return as a function. We will also talk about type def and see an example combining higher order function and type def. Let's start with lambda. Here, print my name is a lambda function. We can see the output. Here in the console, we can see my name is Karim, which is the output of the lambda. Now let's see an example of higher order function. Here calculate is a function which is taking parameter a and b and a function and printing as the result of the operation over a and b. Here we have some operation like add operation, subtract operation, multiple operation and divide operation. And at last I am calling the calculate function with 2 and 3 and add operation. Let's see the output. Here I am getting 5. As I have passed add operation, it is just adding 2 and 3. Now let's combine type def with this example. Let's define a type def for operation. Here I have defined a type def math operation, which is a function which will take two parameters a and b and return us a double. Now here we can see all our operation, add operation, subtract operation, multiple operation, divide operation matches our math operation signature. So instead of taking a function in our calculate method, we can just take a math operation. By the way, the name of math operation should start with a capital M. So let me refactor it. Now, while calling calculate, we cannot pass any function, but we have to pass a function which matches our math operation function. Like if I add another double here, then our compiler is showing us a error that our add operation isn't matching our math operation signature. This is it for Dart higher order function and lambda. In this video, we will see Dart closure in action. A closure is a bundle of function and variable from the outer scope that the function depends on. Now, let's see an example to be more clear with it. Here I have a variable programmer which is assigned to Naruto, and I have a function hack programmer which is taking a string and trying to modify our programmer. Now if I call this function and then print our programmer variable, then this function will try to modify our programmer name, and this print statement should give us the modified programmer name in console. Let's see and verify that. Here we have Boruto in our console, so this is Closure in action. In this video we will talk about Dart singleton class. In Dart we have factory keyword for defining singleton. Let's see an example. Here we have a singleton class, and we also have a factory constructor method, which is returning us the static final singleton class instance by calling our choice of constructor. Now let's create an instance of our singleton class. Here I have created two instances of our singleton class. If we run this program, we can see our singleton class init constructor is called only once, as it is a singleton. Now let's extend this example a bit more to understand the concept more transparently. Here I have created an instance variable singleton name. Now I will modify this variable from singleton1 instance and verify that the singleton2 instance singleton name is also modified. Here first I am creating an instance of singleton class, then I am printing the singleton name, then I am modifying the singleton name, then I am again printing the singleton name, and then I am initializing another singleton class instance and then printing the singleton name. Let's see the output. Here before changing singleton name, singleton1 name is singleton class. After changing the singleton1 name is singleton1. After changing the singleton2 name is also singleton1. So by that we can verify that our singleton class is a singleton. This is it for singleton in Dart. In Dart we have callable class which is not present in Java. So let's see what is callable class. Here I have a class phone which is taking RAM, manufacturer and memory as final instance variable, and which have a function call defined which is printing those. Now let's create an instance of the class. What callable class allow us is that we can call our instance variable name as a function which invoke our call function. Let's see that in action. Here in the console we can see our instance variable function call is invoking our call function. This is it for callable class in Dart. In this section let's discuss extension function in Dart. Fundamentally, an extension function is a member function of a class which is defined outside the class. Now let's see an example of extension function. Here I have created an extension function on string class, and the function is getInteger from string, which is parsing the integer from the string, and some print statement for checking if the number string is equal to 21 integer or not. Let's validate this by running the program. Here in the console we can see we get false and true. False for the first statement and true for the second statement. Now if we want to scope our extension function, we can also do that. Here if I use a name for our extension, then this can be scoped, and wherever this is imported, only there this extension function getInteger from string will be available. This is all for extension function in Dart. In this video let's explore the mixin keyword in Dart. Fundamentally, mixin is a way of reusing a class code in multiple class hierarchies. Here we have a scenario. We have an abstract class which is our superclass animal, where we have all our common functionalities for animal. Then we have some subclass like fish, bird and mammal, which have their specific functionalities like fish can swim, bird can fly and mammal can produce milk. Now let's consider walk. Walk is a functionality which bird and mammal can do but fish can't. So if we try to implement walk in bird and mammal, as we cannot write this functionality in our superclass, then we have the following problem. Let's implement them and see the problem. Here our bird is saying that missing concrete implementation for work class dot work. So even if we implement our work class, we need a concrete implementation of our work function, which is not great because we may need to implement this class again and again. Now let's see how Mixin can solve this problem. Let's define a Mixin. Here I have defined a work Mixin which have a work function. Now we can easily use this Mixin on bird and mammal class instead of implementing work class. Let's see how. Now from our bird and mammal class we can easily access our walk method. Here I have created a parrot and this parrot can walk. Let's see our output. Here in the console I am getting walking, so we can easily access our walk method which is coming from the Mixin. Now let's consider another scenario. What if our bird get really hungry after walking for a while, then it wanna eat. So we need a call eat function from our walk function. Let's try to do that. Here we see our compiler is complaining that eat function isn't defined inside our walk Mixin. But we know our walk Mixin will only be used with animal class, so we can easily say on animal. Now as our animal class have eat functionality, so we can easily access it in our walk function. Besides these functionalities, we can use multiple Mixin with a class. Let's consider, for example, we have a breathe air Mixin which have a can breathe air function. Now our bird and mammal can breathe air, so we can easily access this functionality by using our Mixin. This is all for Mixin in Dart. The subject of this video is Dart map and list. Dart map and list are mostly similar to other programming language with some minor changes here and there. Like here, this if statement is evaluating a member for this list of cities. If this is true, then Bola will be included in the list of cities. And this triple dot is a spread operation which will spread another list inside this list. Like in this case, India cities inside list of cities. Let's see the output to make it more transparent. In the output console, we can see Dhaka, Bhola and Indian cities spread inside list of cities. This is it for Dart list. In this video, we will talk about Dart async programming pattern and some of the keywords that have for async programming like future, stream, async await and generator function. Let's start with future. As Dart is a single-threaded language, everything that is to be executed have to be done with the help of the event loop. Simply put, future is just a contract with Dart event loop that facilitates Dart event loop to do some action based on another action like the tap event or do some action with some delay like future with delay. Now let's see how to get an instance of a future. Normally, future instance is to be retrieved from library function like HTTP, file input output or database. But we can also use our future constructor to get an instance of a future. Like here, we have used our future constructor, which is creating a contract with our event loop that whenever our program execute all the other statements, then this function is to be executed. But obviously this needs to be listened. Then we can also use our named constructor like future.value to get an value immediately. We can also use our .error constructor to get an error. We can also use .delay constructor to get the string with a delay. Now here I have created a function which is returning us a future of a string. This function is taking a duration and a value of first future. I will use this function to chain futures. Now let's see an example of our future constructor. Here I have a print statement before subscribing to my future and after subscribing to my future. Let's run the program and see the output. As we speak earlier, our before and after print statement are printing before running the future computation function. Now let's see an example of chained asynchronous call. Here, when myFuture.delay complete with a value, we are calling another future called second future with delay with a value of the first myFuture with delay. Now here we are actually passing two functions, one when it's complete with a value, another when there is an error produced in the process. Then we are again passing another then function which is to be executed when the second future complete with a value, and another catch error function which is to be executed when the second future complete with an error. Now if we run this program, you will see that my future with delay will complete after 2 seconds with a string. Then our second future with delay will be called, and this will complete after 3 seconds with another string. Let's run and validate that. Here we are waiting for 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, we get the output. That is the output of our second future with delay function. This is it for future in Dart. In this section, we will talk about Dart stream. Fundamentally, a stream is a sequence of asynchronous event or future. In synchronous programming, we have iterator, and in asynchronous programming, the equivalent is stream. By default, streams are set up for single subscription, but we can subscribe multiple times by using as broadcast stream. And we can resume, pause, and cancel our subscription to a stream. In stream, we have some utility function for manipulating the stream data, like map, where, and listing function. Now let's see how can we create a stream. We create a stream with the help of a stream controller. Here we have defined a stream controller. Actually, we can compare stream with a flow. In flow, we have a start point and an end point. If we pass something in the start point, then the object will be emitted from the end point. Similarly, in stream, we have 2 points, stream and sink. Stream is the end point and sink is the start point. Here we have defined those two. And in the constructor, we have created a timer which is syncing a count object every 1 second. And there we also have a cancel timer function which is closing the stream and cancelling the timer. Now let's see how to use this stream. Here in our main function, we have created a number controller stream. Then we subscribe to our stream using our listen method, which take the following function. Here, if a data is emitted, then we print the data. If a error is emitted, then we print the error. And if a error is emitted, then our stream subscription will not be cancelled, as our cancel on error is false. And then when the done function is called on the controller, then our undone function is called. Here we have called our done function on the controller. Then we have closed our controller and the timer. Now let's see the output. Here in the console we can see that we are printing 1, 2, 3, 4 as our counter is incrementing and syncing the event. As we haven't cancelled our event anywhere, it will continuously print the counter. This is it for stream in Dart. In this section, we will talk about async await keyword in Dart. Actually, with the help of future and stream, we can cover most of our asynchronous programming need. Async and await keyword is introduced in Dart for simplifying the syntax only. Now let's see an example of async await keyword in action. For that, first let's assume a scenario. Here we have two functions, load from disk and fetch network data, and a class process data. Let's assume that we need to call them in a synchronous way. First we need to call load from disk, and with the returned integer we need to call fetch network data, and with the returned string we need to construct a process data class. Let's see this example with the help of future. Here in this create data function we are calling load from disk and then giving a callback. The callback is calling fetch network data with the ID, and it is registering another callback. That callback is creating a process data class with the returned data. And if any error occur in this process, then we are catching the error in the catch error section, where we have a onError function which is testing for HTTP exception, and if any HTTP exception occur, then it is printing the error and returning us an empty process data. And at last, when all of this is complete, then we are calling the complete function which is printing all complete. Now let's see the same example with the help of async await keyword. To use await keyword inside a function, we need to mark our function with the async keyword. and then wherever the await keyword is found inside the function, our function will stop executing the subsequent expression. Like here, until load from disk return its integer id, fetch network data isn't called. Then until fetch network data return its data, process data isn't called. And if any error occurs, we are catching the error on the catch block, and then we are running the finally block. This function is just equivalent to create data function. Only difference is that we are using async await keyword instead of registering a callback with .then. Here in the output console, we are getting the similar result for both of the function. Now let's see an example of async await keyword with for loop. Here in this getTotal function, we are taking a number creator class which we created earlier. After taking the number creator class, we are calling a for loop on the number creator stream and use the await keyword to await the program until a event is emitted. When the event is emitted, we are incrementing the total with the value of the event. Now when the value of our counter hits 5, then we are calling cancel timer and close stream method on number creator. That will close the stream. So then our program will get out of this for loop and return us the total. In the main function, we are just calling this getTotal function. Now let's see the output. Here we will get the output after 6 seconds because in every second we are syncing a count value, and after 6 seconds the count value will exceed the value of 5, then our getTotal function will emit 15. This is it for async await keyword in Dart. In this video we will talk about Dart generator function. Generator function is a function that returns iterable in case of synchronous operation and stream in case of asynchronous operation. In other words, normal function can return only one value, but generator function can return multiple value on demand. Let's see example of synchronous generator and asynchronous generator respectively. Now to define a synchronous generator, we need to mark the function with sync star keyword, and whenever we need to return a value from the function, we need to use yield keyword. Here in this getRange synchronous generator, we are using for loop from our start value to the finish value and yielding a value every time. In case of synchronous generator, we cannot wait while returning values, but for asynchronous generator, we can take our sweet time before returning values. To define an asynchronous generator, we need to mark the function with async star keyword, and to return a value, we can use yield await keyword. Here in this getDouble asynchronous generator, we are returning a value from our start to finish. In our main function, we are running both our synchronous generator and asynchronous generator. Now let's run the function and see the output. Here in the console, we can see that we have 1 to 5 and 100 to 105. And our 1 to 5 is returning first, and then our 100 to 105 is returning afterward. Now even if we change our order of calling synchronous generator and then asynchronous generator to asynchronous generator and then synchronous generator, our output order won't change because our asynchronous generator will not run instantly. Now let's validate that. Here we can see that even if we change our order, our output is still remaining the same. Another thing that require a mention here is that if we need to call our generator function recursively, then we need to use yield star keyword. Like here, our getRange recursive generator is using yield star to recursively call itself. Actually, getRange recursive generator is producing the same output as our getRange generator. We can validate that by running our getRange recursive generator for 1 to 5. Here the output is similar to our getRange generator. This is all for Dart generator.